Good morning, students. I am Riya Sinha, your SST teacher, and today we all are going to continue sixth chapter of history, that is Kingdoms, Kings, and an Early Republic. In the earlier class, we have discussed its topics like how some men became rulers, Varna system, like at 2500 years ago how our societies were segregated into four parts, that is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Then we came to know about Janpads and Mahajanpads. Today we are going to start a new topic, that is taxes. In this topic we will discuss about the tax system at that time. As the rulers of the Mahajanpads were building huge forts and maintaining big armies, as we have discussed in the earlier class also, they needed more resources and they needed officials to collect these. So instead of depending on occasional gifts brought by people, as in the case of the Raja of the Janpads, they started collecting regular taxes. Now what kind of taxes were they used to collect? See, some of the taxes are given here. Taxes on crops were the most important at the time, and this was because most people were farmers. Usually the tax was fixed as at 1/6 of what was produced. Means whatever crops they used to produce at that time, its 1/6 part would be given as tax to the king. This was known as bhag or a share. Second one is taxes on craft persons as well, and these could have been in the form of labor. For example, a weaver or a smith have had to work for a day every month for the king. Third is taxes on herders. They were also expected to pay taxes in the form of animals and animal produce. There were also taxes on goods that were bought and sold through trade. And hunters and gatherers also had to provide forest produce to the Raja. Now changes in agriculture. What kind of changes we have seen in agriculture at that time? So there were two major changes in agriculture around this time. One was the growing use of iron plowshares. This meant that heavy clay soil could be turned over better than with a wooden plowshare, so that more grain could be produced. This one is the first changes that we have seen around this time. Means heavy clay soil could be turned over better than with a wooden plowshare, so that more grain could be produced. And the second is people began transplanting paddy. This meant that instead of scattering seed on the ground from which plants would sprout, saplings were grown and then planted in the fields. This led to increased production as many more plants survived. However, it was back-breaking work. Generally, slave men and women, means das and dasi, and landless agricultural laborers known as kamakars had to do this work. They used to produce saplings of paddy and then transplant it into the field. They never used to scatter seeds directly in the field. Okay, now a closer look Magad. Now we are going to discuss about different Mahajanpads. Magad became the most important Mahajanpad in about 200 years. Many rivers such as the Ganga and Son flowed through Magad, and this was important for transport, water supplies, and making the land fertile. Obviously, rivers are very important for any place if someone wants to settle there. So parts of Magad were forested. Elephants which lived in the forest could be captured and trained for the army. Forest also provided wood for building horses, carts, and chariots. Besides, there were iron ore mines in the region that could be tapped to make strong tools and weapons. So, Magad had basically two very powerful rulers. First is Bimbisar and the second is Ajatasattu, who used all possible means to conquer other Janpads. Mahapadmananda was another important ruler. First, listen, Magad, there were two important rulers. First of all, we have seen first is Bimbisar and the second is Ajatasattu, and then Mahapadmananda. So Mahapadmananda extended his control up to the northwest part of the subcontinent. Rajgiri, which is present-day Rajgir in Bihar, was the capital of Magad for several years. And later the capital was shifted to Patliputra, which is the present-day Patna. So, first capital of Magad was Rajgir. At that time it was pronounced as Rajgiri, and the second one capital after that shifted to Patliputra, which is present-day Patna. More than 2300 years ago, a ruler named Alexander, who lived in Macedonia in Europe, wanted to become a world conqueror. And of course, he didn't conquer the world, but did conquer some parts of Egypt and West Asia and came to the Indian subcontinent, reaching up to the banks of the Beas. But when he wanted to march further eastward, his soldiers refused. They were scared, as they had heard that the rulers of India had vast armies of foot soldiers, chariots, and elephants. So they decided to return from there. Okay, now next topic is a closer look, Vajji. While Magad became a powerful kingdom, Vajji, with its capital at Vaishali, which was also in Bihar, was under a different form of government known as Jan or Sangh. Now, what do you mean by Jan or Sangh? Jan is used for a group that has many members, and Sangh means organization or association. So, in a Jan or Sangh, there were not one but many rulers. And sometimes, even when thousands of men ruled together, each one was known as a Raja. These Rajas performed rituals together. They also met in assemblies and decided what had to be done and how through discussion and debate. For example, if they were attacked by an enemy, they met to discuss what should be done to meet the threat. However, women dasas and kamakars could not participate in these assemblies. Both the Buddha and Mahavir belong to Jan or Sangh, and some of the most vivid descriptions of the life of Sangh can be found in Buddhist books, which we will discuss in the next chapter. Rajas of powerful kingdoms tried to conquer the Sangh, and nevertheless these lasted for a very long time, till about 1500 years ago, when the last of the Jan or Sangh were conquered by the Gupta rulers. See, this is an account of the Vajji from the Digha Nikaya, a famous Buddhist book which contains some of the speeches of the Buddha, and these were written down about 2300 years ago. Ajatasattu and the Vajjis. Ajatasattu wanted to attack the Vajjis. He sent his minister named Vasakara to the Buddha to get his advice on the matter. The Buddha asked whether the Vajjis met frequently in full assemblies, and when he heard that they did, he replied that the Vajjis would continue to prosper as long as they held full and frequent assemblies. They met and acted together. They followed established rules. They respected, supported, and listened to elders. Vajji women were not held by force or captured. Chatte or local shrines were maintained in both towns and villages, and wise saints who followed different beliefs were respected and allowed to enter and leave the country freely. So, these were the things which Buddha said to Vajjis. Now see elsewhere. In this chapter, earlier we have discussed about Macedonia and Alexander. So around 2500 years ago, the people of Athens set up a form of government which was called a democracy, which lasted for about 200 years. All free men over the age of 30 were recognized as full citizens. There was an assembly that met at least 40 times a year to decide on important matters. Even all citizens could attend these meetings. Appointments for many positions were made through lottery, and all those who wanted to be chosen gave in their names, and then some were selected through lottery. Citizens were expected to serve in the army and the navy, and some women were not considered as citizens also. Not some women, even all the women were not considered as citizens. Also, many foreigners who lived and worked in Athens as merchants and craftspersons did not have rights as citizens. Besides, there were several thousand slaves in Athens who worked in mines, fields, and households and workshops. They too were not treated as citizens. So, they used to consider it as democracy, but do you think it was a true democracy? Because in democratic form of government, people have rights of their own, but there were no rights given to the citizen. Okay, now we have completed the explanation part of this chapter. Hope you all understood the covered topics well. Thank you. Have a nice day.